I'm gonna fix that.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's start. We watched the movie, we enjoy it. We are so grateful, and we are so grateful, Sangeeta, for this partnership between a Unified Human Foundation and the World Happiness Foundation, bringing this to life as part of the Mothership Earth Summit, which is one of what we call one track of the World Happiness Fest. So this is a really beautiful partnership among the World Happiness Foundation, Unified Human Foundation, and now with all this beauty that Louie have created with Gratitude Rebuild. So I just want to say thank you, and I want to introduce you to Sangeeta, who is the CEO and founder, and she's going to be leading this incredible panel with the filmmaker and some guests. So please go ahead. Yes, you are on camera. You are live.
Thank you, Louis. Thank you. It's such a pleasure. And I'm actually just waiting for my other panelist, Louisa, to come and join us. But what I'll do is I will just start. And there she is. She's there. Hi, Louisa.
Alafia. How y'all doing?
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Louis, for that introduction. I am the founding president. Okay, I'm the founding president of Unified Human Foundation UK and USA, and I'm also the creator of Mothership Earth Summit. And yes, we are doing this beautiful partnership with World Happiness Foundation, Unified Human Foundation, and World Happiness Foundation. And firstly and foremost, I would love to introduce filmmaker extraordinaire, Louie Schwartzberg. Thank you, Louie, and thank you so much for this wonderful film, for giving this to the world, and for allowing us the opportunity to watch this together in such a beautiful and generous and supportive and nurturing way. So thank you.
It's great to be here with you.
Louisa Tish, you are a priestess, author, a teacher, a performer, and you are also one of the contributors to Gratitude Revealed. So we are very, very happy to have you on our panel, and thank you for being here with us. So what I'd like to go in straight away and introduce Louie. For those of you who do not know Louie Schwartzberg, he is an extraordinary filmmaker who's very known for his visual art films, focusing on the connections between humans and the subtleties of nature and our environment. Now, Louie, what I'd like to ask you is, you made, in 2019, you made Fantastic Fungi, which was an absolutely fabulous movie with a massive cult following. And then you have now made Gratitude Revealed. Why? Why, after Fantastic Fungi, did you choose gratitude as your subject?
That's a great question. Well, two reasons. One, 2020 COVID happened. So I was sort of like, we were all locked inside. So I decided to share these magic moments that I had been filming throughout the years with remarkable, but extraordinary people. And then also, what the pandemic, I think, taught us was the fact that things we take for granted, disconnection from each other, that they can't have, food with or dinner with friends and family. We never thought about that before. This whole, malaise of the pandemic, environmental degradation, political discourse that's in the gutter, all that stuff makes it understandable that there's despair. And so for me, I thought it was the perfect time to make the film about gratitude. And the reason why it emerges from Fantastic Fungi is because in Fantastic Fungi, that's like a portal into nature's intelligence, into understanding how ecosystems flourish by sharing nutrients and information without greed. That's nature's operating instructions. But once you learn that, then the big question is, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to integrate that into your life? How are you going to help your family, your friends, your community, the world? So it dawned on me that it was very organic to make a film about gratitude after you learn about how harmonious and how flourishing nature is in terms of sharing, in terms of celebrating life, in terms of wanting DNA to go forward, all of those. So Fantastic Fungi was a journey under the ground. I'd say Gratitude Revealed is a journey into the human spirit, into the soul.
And the beauty of the soul, Louis, that's what, I mean, the cinematography and the visuals are so gorgeous. And, you know, I mean, the only word I could describe is delightful. They really are delightful.
So there's a reason for that. And it isn't like veneer. You know, I worked in commercials and features, and we have the best artists, cinematographers, and art directors, and we make pretty pictures. But there's a reason why it's beautiful. The reason why it's beautiful for me is because that's how nature seduces you to fall in love and protect what you love, whether it's, you know, the trees, the planet, your baby, a kitten, a puppy. They're all cute, and we can't help ourselves but want to take care of them and love them. So that's how nature or the universe, I think, you know, manipulates us or guides us into doing the right thing. And so beauty isn't just advertising in Madison Avenue, which it is, because they've kind of manipulated that energy, but that energy is there because life wants to go forward. And beauty is one of the ways it does it. It turns us on with visuals, with smell, with sound, with scent, you know, and that really puts you in sync with the dance of life.
Louis, there's one other kind of important thing I'd like to bring up is, out of all the sort of divine human attributes, you chose gratitude. You know, love, joy, etc. But you chose gratitude. Why?
Well, one big reason growing up is that my parents were Holocaust survivors. And so they taught me how to appreciate all the little things in life. I mean, for them, food on the table, a roof over your head, a steady job, all of that were things that they were deeply, deeply grateful for. And then that also taught me to appreciate the little things in life, which is when I became more conscious about the environment. It's about protecting the bees. It's about protecting the microbes and the fungi. That is the foundation of life that gives us the food. Also, gratitude is the easiest thing to do as a quote unquote practice, because all you have to do is say thank you. You know, it's so simple. And so in Gratitude Revealed, we talk about many values: connection, focus, mindfulness, curiosity, creativity. I think all of those, in my mind, and I'm not an expert, but from my own personal view, I think they all add up to gratitude. All those beautiful values add up to gratitude. And it seems to be the easiest and most gentle way to stop negative thoughts from, you know, overtaking your mind.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Louisa, I know that you've had a lot of experience working with people in evolutionary levels and helping them to shift their consciousness and their thoughts. Please, and you contributed to Gratitude Revealed. How was that experience for you?
Well, you know, the good thing about it is that the film emphasizes gratitude with a positive sign beside it. You know, as a person of African American descent, having lived through the turmoil of the 60s and certain other pressures, there was a time when the word gratitude was being used as a tool against us. Okay, so I was recalling this morning when George W. Bush made the statement that Martin Luther King should be grateful that he lives in a country where he's allowed to protest. You know, sometimes that word has been used to suppress people's energy to contribute to life. Just be grateful for what you already have is handed down from those who are above to oppress those who are below. But ironically, oftentimes we find in this culture that the people who have a lot materially are not the ones who have gratitude for the wind and the trees and the water, because they're invested in what can be bought, and they're invested in who they can dominate. And it is the people who are grateful, who have survived Holocaust, who have survived racism, who have survived those things, who wake up every morning and say, oh, the sun is shining, and I'm so grateful for that. There's food on the table, and I am so grateful for that. And we have to find beauty and joy in the everyday things. Some years ago, we do divinations every year to get guidance from the ancestors about how to conduct ourselves. And one year, my goddess Oshun told us to sing the joy song to bring in unexpected joy. Okay, so as soon as somebody says unexpected joy, unexpected anything is coming, you start trying to think about what's coming, and then it's no longer unexpected. You see, you're now expecting it. And we were singing the song, and what happened for me is that a hummingbird made her nest on my front porch.
Beautiful.
And I am so grateful to have that beautiful experience in my consciousness, and to understand that it just called my attention closer to the birds around me and increased my gratitude for a front porch where I could sit there and watch one of the most amazing creatures. She came to me.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
I know from my cultural background, I'm from Hinduism and Buddhism and the Eastern cultures, and we have symbolic gods and goddesses, demigods, and all of those representations for every level of nature.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about worshiping, but it's about being mindful that these symbols exist, and therefore pay attention to what they represent.
Mm-hmm.
And exactly, what's been brought up in Gratitude Revealed is that you've got a personal interaction with the symbol, which
Right.
allows you to have a personal gratitude, thankfulness, mindfulness practice as part of your everyday existence, which is inherent in your daily life and not separate from it.
Not
And I think, and that's why I think a lot of times, people emotionally react to the film. Like a time-lapse flower is a flower you walk by all the time that you take for granted. But now that you see that it opens and closes, now that you see that it feeds the bee and the bee feeds its babies, all of a sudden it opens up a world perspective of compassion, of interconnectedness, and you appreciate it on a much deeper level. But sometimes it takes that little bit of visual candy to grab your attention, we all walk by flowers all the time, but pay attention, be present, be mindful.
Yeah,
exactly. And we say that whatever you pay attention to grows.
That's right.
So you give it energy through your attentiveness.
That's right.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
I think it's relevant to say another thing that's important, especially right now, is it is truth that anything we love can be saved, can be preserved, can be furthered. And at a time when, I have to be a weather watcher because I have relationships with people all over the planet, right? And we're having floods and tornadoes and droughts and hurricanes and volcanoes erupting. And you know, the having a better relationship with nature is literally what is going to save us. We have to be grateful to water. I do rituals all the time where we first of all ask water to forgive us for human behavior, ask water to please continue to support us, and then we throw flowers in the water as an act of gratitude for water's continued existence and support in spite of the way humans abuse that substance. I am so grateful for the ability to, drink, bathe, cook, garden. If I were not grateful for that and it disappeared, I would disappear.
Right. Beautiful. The other thing that I'd really like to bring up is nature's way of balancing, because really nature is balance. The balance of forces, the balance of life, the balance of everything. And I know, Louisa, that, there's within that balance, those forces, you've got the complementary forces which balance out even the high vibration of positivity with the low vibration of lack and scarcity. So nature has this incredible inherent design of just balancing everything. And therefore, when we go into and interact with nature, we get those energies and that joy of balance, and we feel good again. We feel at home and at peace again.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, I think feeling at home is that feeling that people feel like when they're watching the film, and sometimes I wonder why they're crying. It's because it's that feeling of homecoming. Obviously, it's not a sad movie, but it's been so long since you've been with your deepest soul. When you say, look, but here's the core essence of our dilemmas, and that is that we are nature. So when you say, when we go into nature and we see that balance, what I feel is happening is we're looking into a mirror. We are nature, and nature has balance, but so do you. Think about the balance it takes every day for the trillion cells in your body to live in harmony. Who's managing all that? Who's coordinating all that? And only when we're sick do we realize it's this miracle. Our bodies is making all these little decisions, millions of decisions every day that keeps you alive. Well, nature does that too. In its symbiotic relationship with the animals and the plants and the insects, they're all working together to create this harmonious balance. So right, I think it's like looking into a mirror, and I think that's why people get turned on when I bend time and scale a little bit, because I think every cell in your body is saying, I recognize you. I know you. Your rhythm and pattern is really no different than what's going on inside the cell of my body. It's really no different than what's going on in the solar system or in the galaxies. It actually visually it's looking the same. The networking in our brains, the networking in the roots, the networking in the giant alluvial plain on the landscape are all identical. Like, wow. So therefore, I am connected. We are one. I mean, for me, that's the visual evidence that we're all in this together.
I love that. And Louis, one of the things that really struck me watching the film was being grateful for the challenges in our life. Not just grateful for good things or what we construe as good things, but also the challenges. I'd love your point of view on this, because it's so important right now.
Yeah. Well, I think what's the great phrase? When you have a challenge or an obstacle, they say it's a blessing in disguise. There's so much truth in anything that's trite. But when you look back, well, what is trite is a truth told many times. That's the definition. It's not a negative thing. It's just actually acknowledging this is a truth that everybody says over and over. So these obstacles, yeah, they make you stronger. And if you lean into it and try to figure out where is the lesson and the difficulty that I'm going through, where is the silver lining? You may not always see it in the present moment, but when you look back, you do. For example, you break up with someone that's toxic, that ain't good for you. You're in a job that isn't fulfilling. It's when you're out of it and you look backwards, you go, thank God. Oh yeah, now I'm so glad I moved on. I'm so glad I tried something different. And the other part of gratitude is it's resilience in nature, and resilience in you develops gratitude. And people that have resilience, or have actually people who have gratitude, bounce back quicker from a negative occurrence, which happens to us all the time. Somebody could have just gently, scratched my car, and that could bum you out for days, or you could say it's no big deal. How fast you bounce back from any mishap that occurs is a reference point of how deep you practice gratitude.
That's fantastic, because the other part that I've seen over and over again is that when people do have gratitude and they do bounce back quickly, they actually find a much quicker solution to their challenges as well. That goes hand in hand with that feeling of gratitude and letting go and allowing, being receptive. I think one of the major connects with gratitude is receptivity. It allows you to become more receptive.
And because you're Buddhist, without judgment, allowing to receive it without judgment.
Absolutely. Louisa, I know that we've spent a lot of time discussing previously about being one with nature. And yes, we are our own individual separate units of being, human consciousness, extraterrestrial, all of it. But this being one with nature requires a more subtle relationship and a more subtle attentiveness on a more subtle level.
Well, I'm blessed to be a priestess in a tradition where we know that we come into this life with a connection to nature, okay? So I am a daughter of the river. Yeah. That is determined by my being, by my personality, and it guides what my actions are. So the best way to think about it is there is the river of life. There are the rivers on the face of the earth, and I am a drop of water in those rivers. There are many of us, and together we make up that river and contribute to that flow of life, and we have some people who are children of the mountain, of the volcano, of the thunder, as a matter of fact, when I stepped away, it was to go give something to one of my goddaughters who today is doing rituals for the trickster. Yes, today we're feeding the trickster in order to have a perception shift so that we can go forward in this time of change. But I'm very fortunate in that, our tradition is indigenous and grounded in nature. So we know that the rocks are more intelligent than us, We know that the plants are very, very powerful. In fact, our deity of the wild herbs is named Osime, and he is seen as a man with one eye, one arm, and one leg who can see more, do more, and dance better than the rest of us because of the intelligence inside of the plants, you see. And so I am blessed to have been given a culture that is full of those characters and those kinds of stories that help me to understand my relationship to nature joyfully, right? Beautifully, and I'm so grateful because I do know people whose idea of the sacred is repressed, oppressive, maudlin, morose. No, 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 no.
Dramatic. I know.
Yeah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Louisa, why don't you tell us the story of Oisin?
Oh my God, which one? There's so many wonderful stories about her that her and her different personas, right? Sometimes she shows up as a parrot, sometimes she shows up as a flow in the river, sometimes she shows up as a sassy young woman, you know what I'm saying? But the main thing that we know is that Oshun, as the river of life, Oshun as the energy of beauty, and as the one who seduces us into love. The planet can't exist without her. The
Yeah.
planet cannot exist without her. There's stories where others may think less of her or exclude her from something, and then everything goes wrong. Imagine if all the sweet water were taken off of the earth. You couldn't do nothing. There wouldn't be any life, okay? And so some people make the mistake of thinking that if something is beautiful, then it's not important. But beauty and the love of beauty is what is so amazing in the world that I live in. As a matter of fact, in my world, one of the goddesses, whose name is Erzuli, she is seen as the ability to dream and imagine beyond possibility. To dream and imagine beyond possibility. But what we presently know is possible, or what we presently think is impossible, becomes possible once we dream it.
That is beautiful. And I just want to add here with this story is that right now in India and the subcontinent, we've got the 9 days of the goddess going on. The celebrations of the 9 days of Navratri, which celebrate the 9 aspects of the goddess in her natural glory, in her every expression, which is how in the Vedic system and in Ayurveda, they term as Prakriti, which is nature, which is God, which is creation, existence. So, and we gratitude. These 9 days are days of gratitude, Louis. And
Beautiful.
film is screened today, which is just in these 9 days. So it's beautiful. Well timed.
I just want to add, I'm fascinated when I hear that word seduction, because sometimes it can have like a negative connotation in our quote unquote society. But that's what the film did today. It seduced the audience. How did I do that? I used beauty and nature. And the beauty and nature that I used was actually the feminine. I'm showing pollination. I'm showing flowers. I'm showing regeneration, rebirth, nurturing, love, symbiosis, relationships. That's the feminine side of nature. And I love what Oshun does in that story I've heard Louisa tell, how she kind of smacks down that macho guy. What's the macho deity? Right? Just kind of tame him a little bit. Calm down.
That's right. You can't do without me. I love it. Another thing that comes to mind, I was years ago, because I love flowers. I mean, I love plants. I love, my fantasy is to have an edible landscape. But one of the things that really, really did it to me is I found out that in Africa, there is a thing called the elephant ear lily, right? And in the springtime, this lily heats up, and it gives off a scent that attracts the Egyptian scarab beetles. The beetles crawl inside the flower and they make love until the flower cools off. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that's a metaphor.
Well, but and then what's the scientific end result? The end result is DNA moves forward. DNA got recombined. They call it evolution. It's fine. It's true that this experiment called life evolves.
That's right.
It evolves. And what you described was a cool party that was happening with these beetles on that elephant ear. I mean, it's very cool. But
it's amazing.
The beautiful thing is the entire universe benefited from that.
That's
in
right.
This recombination of DNA that created a diverse, genetic critter that's part of it, that has an ancestry and that has a future. It ain't that one beetle anymore.
That's right.
It's a chain of beetles that go back millions of years, and they enabled it to keep on going forward. That might be the definition of life. That might be the definition that life is a force of energy that wants to go forward and is unstoppable.
Exactly, unstoppable. And I think that's one of the major messages: is diversity is the center of everything. And
absolutely.
And we're not. Nature isn't really competitive; it's diverse.
Yeah,
totally.
And we've had. I think that we're coming to a place now where we can come out of a defensive relationship with nature. There was a time when humans were afraid of the weather and afraid of so many things and started to build things to protect ourselves from wind and rain and that. Now we've created enough of that that we can say, I feel safe enough to change my perception of what's going on. In fact, we went too far. We've been destroying the forests, we've been polluting the water, etc. And now the child, the human, the baby, the toddler who just had to have everything stuck in its mouth, is now growing up and taking a look at, I have a different, more mature relationship to mother who has taken care of me, And I'm really optimistic because I do see our young people who realize that they were about to inherit a damaged earth are standing up. They're making that shift into a parent-child relationship with Mother Nature, and are at the stage where they're not saying anymore, Mama, you just have to feed me and take care of me. But I am now at a stage where I'm going to take care of you. That makes me feel really good.
Mothering nature rather than Mother Nature. Louie, what can be some of the steps that we can do to bring gratitude more tangibly and more attentively into our lives?
Well, for me, it's simply, I think, slowing down. And when I have a negative thought, and I do many times, and I feel like a victim, I have to just slow down and shift my perspective into what can I be grateful for. I'm breathing. I can move my fingers. I'm looking at the leaves in the tree. I'm looking at the cracks in the sidewalk. Whatever it is that can pull me out of that negative moment. That's what I think I do. I think it's something we can all do, which is Find something to put your attention into that is beautiful, many times that you take for granted, and it immediately stops the negative thoughts. I mean, it's hard to have a negative thought and a positive thought at the same time. So it's almost like a computer. A hard drive can be filled with negative data. If you put positive data into the hard drive, there's actually no room for the negative data to be entered. It's actually a physical impossibility. So, and I start my day by looking at flowers in my garden. I start my day by go to my time-lapse room and see if the flower opened up overnight. Is it in frame? Is it in focus? Did it get eaten by a bug? That's what gets me out of bed. And I think they found out in blue zones that most people that live really, long lives, the longest lives on the planet, start their day by going into the garden and looking at the flower before they even have a cup of tea or coffee. That's how they start their day. It puts you in sync with the rhythm of life, and that's where, again, we have to stop having this relationship where there's us and nature. It's like we just are nature. I'm going to, fall in sync with the circadian rhythms, gardening, with doing all of it, and just say, I am one with you. And I love, Louisa, what you said about that drop of water. Feeling small in a grand universe creates that sense of awe. And that sense of awe is a connection to the grand mystery, which is a transformational or spiritual experience. It is.
Definitely is.
Louis, there's also, I know that after the film, there are certain kits or certain educational materials that are available on the website. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, well, so we're making an educational curriculum available with all the values. So what I did in the movie, I don't preach anything, and nobody in the movie tells anyone how to live their lives, because I know for a fact, having young teenage daughters and raised them, they're very cynical and skeptical of anything being told to them by a parent or an adult. So what we've created is an educational curriculum that people can practice everything from journaling to the kinds of topics you can have in conversation with, in a classroom or a church or a theater, whatever it might be. And it's been put together by educators, where we give people practical steps and guidelines, because there is scientific data, which we actually use from the Greater Good Science Center at UC Berkeley, that proves that if you have purpose, you live longer. If you have gratitude, you get better grades. I mean, there is evidence that proves that it helps you psychologically, physiologically. It helps you all over, and we give people practical steps. So those can be accessed at gratituderevealed.com. And we just wanted, everyone to catch this wave of gratitude and ride the wave together.
With that, I'd like to end our panel discussion and thank you both, Louisa and Louis, for your time. And I would like to say thank you, a special thanks to Louis' production team, headed by Kurt Eftekar. He was wonderful to work with and fabulous. And it was a joy to work with everybody. And I hope we meet again very soon. And if anybody has any questions or responses and feedback, they can go to our website, either at gratituderevealed.com or to the World Happiness Festival or to the unifiedhuman.org as well. So thank you to everybody.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much. It was a wonderful and way to start the day.
Amen.
All righty.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.